Now, Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon.
Bonjour et bienvenue to Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon, and I am the one and only Mitch Lafon, and joining me on this episode, it is Gowan drummer Todd Sucherman. Wait, what was that? Oh, Styx drummer. Right, well, he does that too. You know, listen, I'm Canadian and we love Gowan, Criminal Mind, and all that great stuff, but Todd Sucherman has a new album out called Last Flight Home. And I have to tell you, in my head, it gives us this it gives you landscapes. As you're listening to it, it evokes all kinds of imagery. So we discussed that in the interview. Now, it is available now. And Todd was conflicted. He had a moment of pensive reflection pensive reflection. Isn't that delightful? My rock words, delightful. But he had this moment of pensive reflection where he said, boy, should I release this album in May as planned, or should I delay it until this whole pandemic thing is done? Fans on Facebook said, dude, release it. We want new music. And I agree. Why should you delay a release of music? Especially in projects where you don't necessarily plan on touring. Gothard, my favorite band, one of my favorite bands, released an album called Number 13. They were supposed to go do a tour. Couldn't happen. I can see that as being an issue, but this album in particular, Todd says, listen, I don't really have a plan on going to tour this. I've got my day job with Styx. I've got the moonlighting gig with Gowan. Don't necessarily need to go tour this. So I don't understand. I get that vinyl records maybe can't be made right now because you have to be in a plant and people are not going to be socially distanced and so on and so forth. Same issue perhaps with CDs and getting them into boxes. But none of that is true if you get it out on Spotify or Deezer or Apple Music or any of those services. And it occurs to me, or it appears to me, that fans have a very, very large attention span right now because they're just looking for stuff. How many times can you stream the entire, all the seasons of Blue Bloods, right? You do it once and you're like, all right, I'm good. Or the Blacklist or any show. At some point you go, yeah, I love TV, but might need some music. So for bands that are holding off on releasing stuff, I say just release it. And be honest with your fans. Say, listen, we're going to put it up on Spotify. We're going to put it up on Apple Music. You can go check it out. We'll have some videos on YouTube. We can't sell you the vinyl right now. We can't sell you the CD right now. And listen, I got to say, if the music stands up as a fan, I'll go buy the CD when it becomes available. But right now, sitting at home, staring at the wall, going, it could be really cool. Some new tunes from one of the bands I like. Or new tunes from a band that I don't know I like yet, but if they had the new tunes and I listen to them, I might like them and become a fan. So release the music. There doesn't seem to be a need for pensive reflection or don't do it. It seems counterintuitive to not put out music to an audience that is primed for anything right now. When people get back to work and they're worried about all kinds of stuff, I got to get back to work. I got to do extra hours. I got to make up for the lost pay. I got to do this. And the kids and then the school's back. And a new tune is not going to be a priority. It's just not going to be a priority right now. Right now, it's not a priority for new music either, but it would be a welcomed addition to what's going on. Just a peaceful distraction, if you wish. Anyway, let us get over to Gowan drummer and Styx drummer, Todd Sucherman, the new album, Last Flight Home. Enjoy it, folks. And, by the way, just real quick, the state of Missouri has announced that they plan on allowing concerts as of the second week of May. Yeah. Good luck with that, Missouri. I'm not too sure that's the greatest idea ever. and they mention in their press release that they will enforce social distancing by like removing every other seat, and like some kind of weird facetious kind of comment about how they're going to enforce social distancing. All I can say is the mosh pits in Missouri are going to be wild. Just going to be people staring across the room like a high school dance going, yeah, I'd be running into you right now, but keep your distance, keep your distance. Anyway, here is the one, the only drummer, Todd Sucherman. We are speaking with Styx drummer Todd Sucherman. Of course, here in Canada, we call him Gowan's drummer. Yeah, right? We have to do the hometown thing. But, of course, his new solo album is called Last Flight Home, out May 2nd. And as we say in Montreal, bonjour, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Good. So let me just go right into this. I follow you, of course, on Facebook. I'm friends with Lawrence. You're a great guy, great band. You went to Facebook and you said, listen, I'm in a quandary. I don't know what to do. Do I release this album in May, or with the whole COVID situation, do I put it out whatever in September or October? And you seem very much perplexed as to what the right decision was. Talk to me about that final decision of saying, okay, we will put it out, and how much of a struggle was it to say, do I balance human interest and just talk to me about that.
It was a very challenging thing that I really needed to ask, whatever audience I have, their opinion. I mean, the record was done. It was manufactured and printed, and the CDs were, sitting in boxes in my house. And then COVID-19 hit, and I thought the same thing. I can't release a record at a time of great human suffering and people wondering how they're going to keep the lights on, and appear to be hawking my wares, so to speak, at a time unlike any in history that we've lived through. And then after a while, I had a few close, confidant musician friends of mine say, it's done, it's ready to go. People need entertainment, even in the Great Depression, the movie houses and vaudeville or whatever was happening, people needed entertainment. And my wife was originally with me on we can't do anything about this now. And then she started to change her tune as we listened to some of our friends. And so I was really perplexed about it because, I'd never done a record before. I was very excited about it, and have it be put on hold was, personally very, very disappointing. But then when I started to get the notions that, maybe people have the chance to sit and listen now in a way that they never have. And I read someone said somewhere, release new music now because someone is here to listen to it now that might not be here to listen to it later. And so I with sort of a perplexed mind and a heavy heart, I went to both my Facebook pages, Instagram, and YouTube, and I posed the question, should I wait for brighter days or should I go full steam ahead with this? And the resounding response was 99.9, please release it now. So I ended up moving the release date to May 2nd from the original date, which was May 30th, which put me in, somewhat of a scurrying panic to try to get some of the web store together and the infrastructure together to do this. So it's been a wonderful distraction for me to keep me incredibly busy during this time. And pre-sales have already went out, and the response I've gotten on the music has just been truly heartwarming. So, that's how this came to be.
Yeah, and listen, I went to your Facebook, and I was one of those that said, put it out now, because you do have a captive audience right now, and with so many people just doing nothing, listening to an entire album, sort of like we did back in the 1970s, seemed appropriate to me. It just seems right. And of course, let us talk about the actual music on the album. Now, I've had a chance to hear it, and to me, if I were going to do a review, I would say it's very cinematic. It's got this. I could see images as I was listening to it with all the orchestration and stuff. I could see it being part of a movie where there's all this stuff going on. Talk to me about your writing process. And did you have a cinematic version in mind down the road?
Well, the funny thing is, I would imagine, including coming from myself, that any record that had my name on it would be some sort of drum-centric jazz fusion project. So I know that this is a really
A departure?
It's a departure to be singing, have it be a vocal record. But really what's always been most important to me with music is melodies and stories and the lyrics, songs, that's what emotionally hits me. And I gravitate towards that over things that have, Olympic style drumming all the time. So the way it came out was just very, very organic. J.K. Harrison's a friend of mine from the old days who's a brilliant musician, and he was cajoling me to do a record. And we wrote the track Last Flight Home. That was one of those magical nights where in 30 minutes the song was written. It was back and forth like lightning. And that was the centerpiece was sort of laid right there that, okay, this is definitely track one and a concept for the record in a way. But yeah, the pieces, I've always been into orchestration and real strings and layering things for emotional content and an emotional effect. So I think cinematic is a pretty good description, although that could be taken to sound, light, but it's really not light. I
didn't mean it as. Sorry, I didn't.
You know what I mean?
I didn't mean it as light. I meant it as it evokes an imagery. That's what I meant, because as you're hearing to it, there's a lot of landscapes going on. There's a lot of musical landscapes going on within the songs, and so I could see it translating to visual landscapes too.
I mean, if people ask for comparisons, and I would say, if you like sophisticated pop rock, bands like Elbow, Crowded House, Jellyfish, XTC, you stand a chance of liking this. I'm so sorry. Texts are, I can't stop the text. A song like A Sacred Book of Favorite Days evokes, Beatley, Jellyfish, XTC type of imagery. A song like An Invitation, to me, has sort of madrigal late 70s Genesis or Trick of the Tail vibes at times. There's a lot of different flavors on the record, and that's one of the things I'm most proud of, because I like records that have different vibes and different feels. I'm not comparing it to Revolver by the Beatles, but I'm saying, like, a record like that has so many different types of things that it makes that collection of music magic, and that's a little bit of what I was trying to go for in a way.
And very successful. And let us compare it to a Revolver of the Beatles. Why not? No, I'm kidding. This is
no. Let us not. I'm going on the record saying, let us not do that.
Your songwriting compared to Paul McCartney's. Let's go. No. Why not? But all right, this is, of course, the first solo album, the debut solo album. Is this one where you just go, okay, I've been in this business 20, 30 years. It's done. It's out of my system. Back to Styx. Merci, bonsoir. Or do you say, well, it was kind of fun. Maybe in a couple of years I'll do number 2. I mean, is this the start of something new, or was this the period at the end of a sentence for you?
I never say never to anything. I mean, I have no aspirations to take this on the road or be some sort of singing celebrity. I'm not going to leave the band or anything crazy like that. I love my band. I love my guys. I love my job. It's a great job to have. So this was really something that it was a grand experiment of something that I didn't know if I could do or not. And that's kind of how I went into it. And I did it largely in secret because I didn't want to blow the horn that I'm doing a record and a vocal record. And then in the end go, oh God, I can't let anybody hear this. And just pull out, hey man, what happened to your record? Oh, nothing. So that's kind of how I went into this. So to really answer your question, I would like to do some sort of instrumental record at some point. I think the reason why I didn't was because I just played on Antoine Fafard's Borromean Odyssey, which, in my opinion, is a masterpiece writing of jazz fusion, just some of the most difficult music I've ever attempted. And a San Nico record that had some very challenging instrumental music. So that itch had been scratched for the time being. And I think that's why I was put off into this direction.
It's a great direction. All right. So let me ask you about some of the other stuff, the Gowan and all this stuff. But I have to start with turning up the interview to 11. You, of course, have done work with Spinal Tap. And, right, because it is what it is. Talk to me about that year and that time and being on Jimmy Fallon and what was that like? Because in a sense, it's a comedy routine, but at the same time, they're real musicians doing real stuff, doing real music. What was it like being part of Spinal Tap?
Well, you nailed it on the head right there. Is the fact that they actually care. It's very easy to go, oh, they're very successful comedians and movie stars, and they're just doing this as a lark or to blow off some steam. But they really care. They want to play and sing well, and to see Christopher Guest, messing around with a Marshall amp head and saying, "There's something. Can we get another head?" He knows what the sound that he wants to get. All those guys are obviously just geniusly funny. They're wonderful gentlemen, and to have spent time with them and having had meals with them are experiences that I hold dear, because their comedy royalty, not even just for having created Spinal Tap, but for all the other projects that they have all graced or created or been a part of. So I first played with them on The Tonight Show in 2000, and we got to do Stonehenge, complete with the Little People and the small Stonehenge monument. And then in, it was 2009, we did a couple TV shows in New York, Jimmy Fallon and Jon Stewart, Daily Show. So yeah, those are experiences that I hold dear, man. I mean, they really care about playing well, and they're just great human beings.
Yeah, they really are. And speaking of great human beings, being Canadian this year, we lost Neil Peart of Rush. As a musician, you how do you sort of rate or rank or feel about? 'Cause rating and rank is maybe the wrong words, but talk to me a little bit about Neil to give me that sort of Canadian flavor for the interview.
Well, I mean, Neil was singularly unique in so many ways that went beyond his obvious prowess on the drum set, because he was the lyricist. He was an architect of world and dreams and was a sage or a prophet to so many people. And then in his private life, as an author, writing about his travels, whether it's riding a bicycle in West Africa or his motorcycle trips, or the horrible story of the tragedy that he endured losing his first wife and daughter. So when a figure like that passes away, I think the mourning is felt on such a deeper level, because it's not, hey, here's obviously a great rock drummer passed, but people seem to know him through his written words, whether it's the lyrics or the books that he released. So the loss of his person becomes so much more of a profound thing to so many people all over the world that held his music and his writing very dear to them. Absolutely. It was a loss. I only got to meet him once. We were working next to each other in Los Angeles, and I found him to be absolutely engaging, endearing, a total gentleman. We were standing there. The Stanley Cup trophy was right there. He was. That's when he was recording and filming the Hockey Night theme, Canada's Hockey Night theme.
The Hockey Night in Canada theme. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun,
That's right. and I was working next door with Brian Wilson. And then after a while, he was asking me all the questions about what's it like working with Brian Wilson? What are you doing? What's up with Gowan? Some of our mutual Canadian folk. And after a while, I kind of could sense in the room that there was a full, 18-piece big band and a film crew and a studio crew that were sort of waiting for him to be done chatting with me so everyone could get to work. So finally, I started to feel a touch uncomfortable, and I said to him, well, I best set up in the next room because it looks like everybody's waiting for you. And, he kind of smiled and laughed, and it was great to meet you. And we took a picture together, he and I, right with the Stanley Cup. And it was a wonderful meeting. I wish I would have had the opportunity to see him again. But the one memory I have of him, I will hold dear.
Yeah, and you can see that picture on Todd's socials. Let me just quickly get into, since we're in Canada, working with Lawrence Gowan. You in your career have had the chance to work with some of rock's greatest singers, including Dennis DeYoung and including Lawrence Gowan. Talk to me about that friendship that's developed where you're going to go out on tour with him and you do his solo shows. And he's not just the replacement guy in Styx, and you're not just the drummer of Styx and I Can't Be Bothered. There's a magic when you two are together. Talk to me about working with Lawrence and what it's like for you to play some of those songs, which were huge hits in Canada, maybe not so much at the rest of the world, but great stuff.
Well, I could really talk for hours about my working relationship and my friendship with Lawrence. I consider him to be one of my closest friends and confidants. He's very wise and very zen. And if I ever have any sort of issue in life that I'm not sure what the answer is, he's one of the people I seek for their opinion. He and I share a musical work ethic where we are always warming up and working and rehearsing and trying to not only stay in shape and keep our edge, but to be better and better. And he and I both have a vigorous warm-up routine that we do before we hit the stage. But was that 2011, maybe it was, right, when it was the 25th anniversary of Strange Animal. When he'd asked me to play, I was A, flattered, B, very excited because Jerry Marotta had played on so many of his records, who's one of my favorite drummers. Very unorthodox, unique voice in the world of drumming. So I took it as a fun challenge, and I also wanted to make my friend happy and proud that those parts were being recreated back there so he could do his thing. And it was so much fun to see him be him and not be part of the Styx machine. I mean, it was his gig. So I really enjoyed playing that music with him. It's great music. He gives it 100% every time he's on stage, whether it's with Styx or his own thing. He's just a level 10 all the way around.
Yeah, Lawrence is great, and Strange Animal and Criminal Mind, just classic songs. Just real quick, let's get back to Last Flight Home. You did mention that you didn't have plans to go out and tour it, and of course, right now, even if you wanted to, you couldn't. But you do drum clinics when you're on the road. When you were here with on that Tesla tour with who was it? Joan Jett as well, right? Joan Jett, Tesla, and Styx. Right?
Yeah, right. Right.
You did a clinic in Montreal at the Steve's Music Store. Do you think that as you do these drum clinics, maybe you'll start throwing in some of the Last Flight Home stuff? And obviously you won't have the full band, so you'll have to play to a track or something. But would you consider including some vocal performances during your drum clinics?
I don't think so, because if you've ever done drum clinics, you barely have the sound check done with drums in time to let people in the room. To add vocals to that mix, and also, I didn't play and sing at the same time, so that's a whole other thing that would be have to be worked upon. Again. the first step was just realizing that I could make this record. The second step was I'm proud of this music and I can put my name on it. I can stand behind it. So to have any aspirations to perform it right now hasn't really entered my mind until I started doing some interviews. I'm getting that question a lot, so I better be prepared. I haven't even considered it, man. I'm just kind of taking this one step at a time and having fun with it.
Yeah, and of course, on your Facebook, you always put up a drum cam video. So I guess at some point you'll have to start putting up performances of these songs just for the heck of it. The last Styx album, The Mission. Fantastic piece of work, by the way. I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised, and I know that sounds almost negative, like, oh, but no, it was a great album. Where are we in terms of getting to the next new album? Because there had been a gap in releases. Now with the COVID and everybody home, are you working on some new stuff? Is it important to have new music?
Well, it didn't seem like it was important for a while, and then the inspiration hit, and The Mission was overall a success. Not the numbers of the old days, but things are measured differently now. And Tommy's been inspired. And to tell you the absolute truth, if life had gone on normally, I would have recorded the new Styx record 2 weeks ago in Nashville. The new Styx record, whenever it comes out, I have to tell you, is mind-blowing. And there's some songs on there that lyrically are almost, I haven't even talked to Tommy about this yet. It's almost prophetic to what is going on right now. And part of my practice routine is to keep my mental notes sharp on what I want to play on this music. I don't want to forget it. I just don't want to sit on the couch or start playing other things. And then when it's time to record, go, I had something cool here. What did I want to play here? I don't want to have that sensation. So I've been keeping sharp. And there's a song on there called Sound the Alarm. I'm damn near burst into tears playing along to this piece of music because it seems like it was written today about what's going on today. It friggin' blew me away.
I can't wait to hear that. Now, I know you have an interview in 5 minutes, so I'll just ask you one last question. Your first album with the band was, of course, Brave New World. Just talk to me a little bit about that time in your life where you're going to play on an album, and this is a classic band with a long history, and you're going to be part of it. And then getting that nod from the boys where they go, yeah, you know what? You're going to stay with us. You're going to be the guy. What was it like joining Styx? Because it's sort of like joining Aerosmith or joining Kiss or it's just one of those things, right?
I kind of had that experience. The first record I did with them was back in 1995 when they called me to ghost drum for John for Lady 95. And then when they called me the next year to play in Little Susie, I kind of knew something was brewing. And then they asked me to do the first tour. Then we did the live record, and then there was another 3 new songs recorded for that. So by the time we got to Brave New World, I felt, it was more like you're sitting down at a table at your favorite restaurant. You're like, okay, let's go. I know what I want to order. Boom. So it was very, very comfortable and exciting at that time for me. But I was very, very comfortable. There was no, hey, Mom, I can't believe this is happening. I had already been involved with those guys for a number of years, so now I felt like, well, it's time for me to do what I'm supposed to do. And I was always a session musician and groomed myself to be a session musician. So in many ways, I'm actually more comfortable in the studio than anywhere. So it was just a fun time for me. Well,
and it turned out great. And I will say this, having seen the band many times with you and Lawrence. Just phenomenal stuff. I think this is a great unit, and I just look forward to more music, more tours, more shows. It's just absolutely terrific from the fan perspective. And on that, I know you've got to go. So as we say in Montreal, merci, monsieur. Thank you so much.
Merci, and thank you very much. Stay safe, Mitch, all right?
Absolutely. You too now. Bye-bye now.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Cheers.
This has been Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. For more exclusive content and interviews, subscribe on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and many more. Follow Mitch on all the socials, especially Twitter, @Mitch Lafon, and on Instagram, @Mitch_Lafon. Get Get your Mitch merch now at loudtracks.com/Mitch.